Still May 8th, Sunday. I've been inside all day, didn't go out at all. And I've just been working and thinking and working some. And still thinking about like this whole Mother's Day thing. And realizing, right, like thinking about all the people who aren't mothers. Like I have a lot of aunts who are older who didn't have children. And they have, you know, their pet babies and then, you know, thinking of some of my clients too, and just people, right, who maybe have wanted to be a mother but weren't able to. And this element of excluding them. Oh, there's a spider. Oh, she's high up there. Yesterday I found another spider too. Actually, that's one, two, that's two. You're the third one. You're the third one. But anyways. What was I talking? Mothers. And realizing, right? Like even kids who have two dads, like why does it have to be Mother's Day? Right? And then I'm like, can it be Caregiver's Day? And I think there is a Caregiver's Day, but then I'm like, no. Like just a person who helps raise children, right? You don't have to have physically born a child to be considered a mother, really. Or you know, aunties fall in this category. Like I sent a message to some of my aunts. And letting them know, like your letters and just the part, as small as it was, right? Actually was a huge blessing for me, and thanking them for just being a part of this process of my becoming, and you know, thinking about people with two dads, right? This element of like, why can't Mother's Day be for them too, right? Because there's a nurturing component, there's a nurturing energy that comes out regardless of your, you know, biological sex. We hold both energies. So there's this element of like, can it just be Feminine Energy Day? You know, so to encompass everything that a feminine energy can provide, right? And then the masculine side, the masculine energy, and how we hold that too, and how it just plays out in a different way. And yeah, because I was even thinking about that, just reflecting again, you know, my role in thinking like, would I want children one day? Sure. And but still wanting to make sure that the person that's there for me. It's funny because the video today is, I think it's, what's the video? What video came out? I think I'm talking about the person that's for me, right? Is wants me as my, that's my flow, I think. Something about my flow. Yeah, connecting with my flow again. And realizing, right? It's funny because I'm talking like, I don't even know if I can handle a friendship. Clearly I can't. My hair. So just realizing, right? Like I'm still in it with work. So reflecting on that, reflecting on just so there's this element that I was in the shower and I was thinking about this expansion, this idea of expansion, right? And how we're always expanding, we're building upon the knowledge that we have, right? And so then thinking about Women's Day, right? And wondering, you know, one day it'll be Feminine Energy Day, right? Instead of Mother's Day, not Women's Day, Mother's Day. And that way it can expand beyond, you know, what we physically see. Yeah. And so then I started thinking about one of my clients, and we have a grand old time. I love spending time with her. I mean, with all my clients, but it's whenever I have a little extra time afterwards, And if we're on a conversation, like I encourage it to keep going, right, until it comes to a natural close. And so with her, that tends to be our thing. um, and knowing also that for some clients it takes a little longer for them to feel safe enough to open up. So I worked with enough people to know. And I usually don't bill for that extra time. I don't. I know how the powers that be look at stuff. So she's aware of it, and she wanted to like pay me back in some way, and I'm like, no, like I already learned a lot from you guys. How is it like she couldn't understand how? So I was explaining to her. It's like I do a lot of self-reflection when I share information. I'm always looking at how my clients are physically responding and communicating back to me what we're talking about, to see, did I explain it well? Do I need to break it down some? How can I word it in a way where it solidifies, right, for them? So I'm constantly learning. She happens to be one of the people that knows about my videos. And she came across the point in time where I'm actually talking about this line of work where I'm just like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I'm done. I was burnt out. And knowing, right, that I hadn't really given myself that opportunity to explore that creative side, or just what else could be, right, in my life. It was just one thing after another. I didn't give myself enough playtime, if you will. Which is funny because that's what I talk about in yesterday's video, where I'm like, exploring my youth. Because I didn't get a chance to do that. And so anyways, so she got to that part, and that really kind of, it turned her off. And I had mentioned to her at the very beginning, you're gonna get triggered. She's the one that asked me, can you give me a heads up? I'm like, I don't know what stories you got that are gonna trigger you, but I encourage you to write down what triggers you so we can talk about it. So that's part of that process for us at the end of our session. When we're done, the extra time is dedicated to her questions. So she was questioning that and struggling with it emotionally, because she's just like, I don't want to be a burden for you. So I clarified. I was like, I wouldn't have come back if I wasn't ready for it. I would not have come back in that state of mind, because that would be a disservice to you, right? That would totally be a disservice to you. And so then I said, so I found the video where I realized, right? She got to the other side. A spider. Looking at a spider. So so I sent her that link, and where I realized, right, that people grow and mature over time, and I said, it's possible that this whole journey, right, took me away from it only to bring me right back, but with a different focus. And so she's like, no, that makes sense. I said, okay. She didn't open up the video, and then she gives me a response. She's like, I think I need to take, she calls me Time Traveler UV. She's like, I think I need to take a break from Time Traveler UV. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, great, that's great, right? For me, it's this whole element of making sure that she's listening to herself. For all my clients, that they listen to themselves. That's always been my goal. So I wrote that to her. I said, my goal has always been for you to listen to yourself, whatever that is. Like, I won't take offense to it. And she's like, no, I don't think you understand. So she clarified, and she's like, I'm not taking a whole break from Time Traveler UV. What I'm taking a break of is not trusting myself in this process. We were talking about trust in the therapeutic relationship, and just the challenges, right, of what happens when trust is broken, and how that plays out in your ability to trust other people. So that came up, and we, talked about it, and she realized, she's like, spider. She realized that, she's like, I realize I have to trust myself, and I have to trust what I see in front of me. And then she said something like to the effect of like, what I see in front of me is not the old UV, right? The Time Traveler UV. what I see in front of me is someone who is supportive, someone, you know, just realizing that she has to trust what's in front of her. And I appreciated that. And she's like, I'm still going to watch your videos, but, you know, it's like a book. I'm putting it down. I'm like, okay. Regardless, right? And I told her, I'm like, regardless, I'm just glad that you're listening to you. That's the key thing throughout this whole process, that you listen to yourself, right? So then that got me thinking, just this element, right? Where I started somewhere, I traveled away from it only for it to bring me back, but just a little further with a different perspective. Then thinking about the feminist movement and the progression of it, and you know, and just what's happening now, right? And how it went also similar, right? It took a certain way, it took us around, and then a lot of people were like, why are we still fighting for it, right? It's still, again, and I wrote so one part of my paper was to talk about the book that I finished reading, and I had to write a letter to the people who didn't believe Chanel Miller, and I was really emotional and not really operating, because, you know, I had been sleep deprived all week, and so the letter does not make sense. I don't know how, I didn't even proofread it. It just came out, and I just submitted it just to make sure I submitted something. But I was thinking about it, and the words that were coming out were very emotionally triggering, or were because I was emotionally triggered of just what was going on, and this, like, really, again, really, you know, this concept of, like, we're repeating cycles. And so this element of feminism, and what I was trying to explain to my peers in class was, like, it seems like we're starting all over. And it wasn't about feminism then. When I shared this, it was about some other stuff. I'm like, but really, because it was about just fighting for people's rights. And I'm like, it just looks a little bit different. We've advanced some. So it's not even a full circle where the cycle repeats. It's this with all the paper I got everywhere. I can't. And the writing, I'm just gonna have to do this. The writing pad is right here. I need a pen. Okay, so there's this element of a cycle repeating, right? Where there's, like, a starting point. I don't know if you guys can see that. And an end point. I should get a marker better. There's a marker too. It's a light marker. Is that better? Yeah. So the cycle repeating. But really, it's more of, like, I envisioned it when I was in the shower. So it's like, imagine we're on this line, right, moving forward, and I was reminded of that video about the galaxy, and how the galaxy, if you guys watch some of my early videos, where it was the galaxy, yeah, and it's like, it's spiraling, like, moving, we're constant motion, and so there's this spiral effect, but the way we're spiraling, there's this, like, double helix that's created almost, so DNA. But I was still thinking about, like, just the progression of that cycle, the movement, right? It's like it seems like it's coming, right? So if there's this straight line and we're moving forward, then there's this element of, like, this is our starting point, but we're never really coming back to it, right? It's always a little further than where we were before. But the cycle is similar. I don't know if you can see that. There. The cycle is similar. So it's like, there's a starting point, but we never really come back to it. It's always a little bit further. So the cycle repeats, but we're always a little more advanced, right? And so, again, just thinking about this whole feminist movements and the definitions of, like, conservative feminist, liberal feminist, you know, what was the other one? Business, was it business? I don't remember. But there's just this element of, like, this progression. And then even thinking about me, right? Where I was in my starting point, and then, like, moving forward, that I came back to doing this line of work, but just with a different shift, right? And so, where was I going with that? There was something else that I needed to say about that. So for all of us, right? Oh, and then even the cycle with this guy, right? It's like there was a progression of where I was before, and then how I'm managing it now, how I'm feeling about it now, right? It's slightly different. It's similar, a whiff, right? A whiff of past cycles, but just slightly different, and I'm responding slightly different. And I'm teaching my clients that I'm like, the cycle will repeat itself until you learn to listen, right? Can you pick up the cues? Can you pick up on how your body's responding? And I can tell you this, the people who are listening are the ones that are graduating, right? The ones that we're getting to the end of our session. The ones who are really listening. And are seeing it, right? Because we can't see each other every week anymore, because it's like not enough happens for them to like be in distress, and their ability to bring themselves back is quicker. So anyways, so I was just thinking about that, just this progression, right, of when the cycle repeats, it may seem like you're stuck, but you're never really stuck. It's the same concept, because you're never in the same place that you were before. So you're always a little bit further along. I was working on a resource list. It's part of one of my projects, almost done. But I'm in New York. I'm looking at domestic violence resources in New York. Was it New Jersey? I think New Jersey. I was floored to see that some of these agencies are called homemakers? Homemaker assistants. Homemakers. I was like, homemakers. Wow. Homemakers. Like, is it just the homemaker that gets abused? Right? No. It could be anyone in the relationship. So it's just fascinating, because I thought New York was also like a progressive state, but when I saw that, I was like, wow. And New Jersey as well. I was surprised to see the titles. That's interesting. Yeah. For my mom, if she's watching, I tried calling you, I tried FaceTiming you, and you didn't pick up. To try to tell you, like, Happy Mother's Day, right? For her, right? She's technically my mom. And, but I know what she's gonna say. One, I know she's out and about having fun, because that's who she is. But two, I know she's like, no contesté porque hoy no es el Día de las Madres. It's not Mother's Day. It's Mexican Mother's Day is on May 10th. So that's probably what she's gonna say. Well, I'm working and going to school on that day, so sorry. That ain't gonna happen. But anyways, I just want to speak to that awareness of like the progression of the cycles, and just the visual that I was like, oh, that's what it looks like. It's like a coil. It's like a coil, right? It's like if you're going forward, and you kind of, and it feels like you're coming right back, but you're not. You're just slightly ahead. So you're continuing to expand. I thought that was cool. Just wanted to capture that so I don't forget. Okay, bye. Till next time. Hi, my name is Yubi, and in case you haven't figured it out, this footage is capturing my experience as I learn to navigate my personal spiritual awakening. I am learning that this experience is unique to each one of us. In whatever way we believe we are embracing living our truth, this just happens to be my journey. And despite me having a graduate degree and a license in clinical social work, this by no means is intended to replace any type of mental health advice. This is just me on a personal level, documenting my experience, shedding light on the truth that I am learning and discovering for myself, and really inviting you along for the ride. If by some magical chance you find this content to be helpful in any way, shape, or form, please click the like button, share the message, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I have an Instagram account, a personal one, and one specifically for this channel that you're more than welcome to check out. I'm an open book. I have also created t-shirt designs. I'm wearing my favorite one right now, which is the North Node design, but I have that and other things that you can look at inspired by this process and journey, and I have the link in the description box as well as in the about section of my YouTube channel. So you're more than welcome to check those items out. Any type of support is great. Again, if you find this content really helpful or meaningful, sometimes when we take that step and be vulnerable, with showing what's inside our hearts and what's really our truth, we realize that we're much more connected than what we thought we were. And so I hope that as I'm living this experience, and that you find some type of truth for yourself, or find some type of ability to heal in some way just by relating, just by knowing that you're not alone. That really has been my goal with this process, not just being able to connect with others, but really for my own healing. It's definitely been a therapeutic experience and a very creative one for myself. So I thank you, and I wish you all the best, and we'll see what else comes next for me.